Here we look at how to better manage multiple worksheets and the different tools you can use to more effectively manage the different sheets in your workbook. So the first thing we'll do is look at how we can rename the different sheets in your workbook. And this is probably something you want to do whenever you're accumulating more and more sheets, because by default Excel 2010 will name each sheet as sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and so on and so forth. So it's probably best to more appropriately name these sheets so it can be a little bit more descriptive and you can kind of have an idea of what's in that sheet without clicking on it. So if I go here to sheet 1, there's a couple different ways we can rename it. The first is just by double clicking it. I can then delete what's in there and I'll give it a more appropriate name, maybe North 2010. Okay, I can also do this by right clicking the sheet and going up to rename. That'll again allow me to rename the sheet name. So when I hit enter after typing it in, that will essentially take the name and save it as that sheet name. So I can do this with every sheet in my workbook. I won't go through the rest here, but you also have some other options. I'm going to go back to my North 2010 sheet. I can also right click and go up to, you'll notice there is a tab color. So if I go here, I can give this sheet a specific color to kind of help make it distinguished or stand out a little bit more. So if I go over here and maybe I'll make this one red, when I click off of it, you'll notice now the whole background of that little tab is now red. I'll do the same with my south. Maybe I'll make this one blue, and if I go here to my end, maybe I'll make that one green. So that kind of again helps the different sections of your workbook stand out a little bit more. Okay. Next we'll look at how we can insert more sheets. I can simply do that by, well, a number of ways here. I'm going to go ahead and right in between my sheet and my horizontal scroll bar, I'm going to click and drag and give myself some more space here. This little tab at the end of your sheets, that will allow you to add another worksheet. You know there's a keyboard shortcut too by just looking at your pop-up. If you hover over that tab, it's Shift 11, right? So that'll insert a new sheet into my workbook. Here it is, sheet 8. If I don't want this appearing in the middle though, I can simply click and hold and I can drag that and release it wherever I want that last sheet to appear. So that effectively adds another worksheet to my workbook, and again I can give that a different color, I can give it a different name, I can reposition it. I can also copy that if I wanted to. So I'm going to do that with one of my other worksheets. So let's say I'm going to go down here to my bonus sales report, and let's say I'd like a copy of this worksheet, and maybe I want it to not only appear as a copy in this workbook, but I'd also like it to maybe appear in its own separate workbook. So if I wanted to maybe send this worksheet to somebody else and I didn't want all these other worksheets appearing in it, I can simply just essentially copy and paste it into a new workbook. So I'll show you all those tools here. I'm going to go ahead first and right click, and you'll notice I got my menu up here. I can go into about halfway down and click more copy. That's going to give me a couple options. Now I can either keep this copy of the worksheet in the currently selected workbook, which is called my sales history R here. I could also create a copy of it and place it in a new workbook if I wanted. So if I click on this drop down again, you'll notice I have the new book option that's open. I also have the option to move this to another workbook that I currently have open, my yearly sales. So let me show you what happens if I move this to a new book. If I click that, as long as I don't have this create a copy button checked, it will effectively just do a cut and paste, removing it from this current workbook that it's in, and it's going to place it just in the new workbook. So make sure you don't miss that step if you're looking to actually copy it and not cut and paste. I'm going to leave it unchecked for now. So I hit OK, and you'll notice when I do that, I've got my bonus sales report, everything formatted as it was in the previous workbook, but look at my title up here, it's now in its own unique workbook, and in this case it's called book 2. So now I can save it as something unique and maybe send it if I wanted. But notice if I go to my my other workbook that I had open a second ago, let me go back to sales history, it's now no longer a sheet in that workbook. Now be careful, because these are things that you cannot undo. If I go up here and I look at my undo list, that action doesn't appear, so I won't be able to undo that. So that's okay for the sake of this lesson though. I'm going to also show you one other option we have with these worksheets to remove any worksheets that you do not need. So this sheet 8 here has nothing in it. That was the one that we just added a minute ago. If I wanted to get rid of this on my workbook, I can right click and I can go up to delete. Now you want to be careful, because this is also an action that cannot be undone. So once I delete this, it doesn't even warn me, by the way. I won't be able to bring that sheet back. If there is data though, and I try to delete that worksheet, so for example this consolidate worksheet, it's got some data in here. When I go to my delete, now it's going to warn me because it recognizes that I've got some data in there. And check it out though, it says to permanently delete the data, press delete. So I still won't be able to undo it, but it's nice that at least I get that warning. Okay, so those are some of the tools you have to kind of help organize your workbooks better, to help add, insert, delete, and move around all the different data in your workbooks.